Wasabi guys! I had a ton of fun last night at the Unstable Sealed event at my local game store. Actually kind of makes sense that we would go with Sealed. Draft is a little bit more challenging for players who never played with the set before, and going into it blind, I felt like it was appropriate to start out with 6 packs and just open them, see what I can do, look at the cards individually, make my assessment. Right off the bat, I can tell you the biggest impact of this whole set was the contraption mechanic. The more contraptions that you had, the better off you were. Some of the contraptions were pretty good, but for the most part, it just seems that if you were able to take advantage of them, you had some creatures that ETB'd, they assembled a contraption. The sooner you got them off, the better, because they just gave you a ton of advantage. And yes, given the fact that you do have to wait a turn before you get to crank them again individually, the fact that you can get more contraptions, put them on different sprockets, means that you don't have to wait necessarily too long before you get to take advantage of another contraption. Without having to put any more mana into it, you just assemble a contraption and it does stuff for you. So any deck that was capable of getting out these contraptions earlier on was capable of doing pretty well at the event. Whether it was sealed or draft, the more contraptions you were capable of getting out there, and of course it also depends on the power of the contraptions you were using. You had one that milled, you had one that was capable of gaining control of a creature if that creature's power was less than a number of creatures in their graveyard. You have a lot of different ways to take advantage earlier on in the game, and later in the game it just becomes so much. You can stack the abilities, you get to choose which ones resolve first. I think that's fantastic, but really one of the awesome cards in the whole set that I had fun playing with, and it was just ridiculous how much advantage you could get off to earlier on in the game, was the Adorable Kitten. Just the 1-drop 1/1 white creature that you roll a 6-sided die and you gain that much life equal to the result. And a lot of times I rolled 4s, 5s, and 6s, so gaining 4 more life like that on your first turn, that's a huge hill to climb for your opponents, and it's definitely going to make aggro a harder deck to make in this type of environment. But not only that about the Adorable Kitten, but just the whole host creatures and then the augments were fantastic. Now my record at my sealed event wasn't too fantastic. I believe I lost one and I won one, and I ended up tying 2 different games, so very weird. I guess it was because the time limit restrictions and the whole fact that a lot of us were just looking at these cards for the first time, and it wasn't just a set filled with a ton of over-the-top powerful cards, rather than just very unique, interesting mechanics that you're probably never going to see again. So that was probably a big reason why I ended up tying twice. But yeah, going into it blind, I had a lot of fun. A lot of cards I didn't really remember seeing. I don't think I went over the spoilers too much for the set. I think I just went over the first spoilers that we got and pretty much stopped with it. I lost interest in it, but I'm glad that I went to the sealed event. It was definitely worth it, because there's some cards I want to talk about here, and especially with the full art borderless John Avon lands. These are fantastic, and they're a huge selling point of this set. You have the potential of pulling one of these as a foil, which I happened to do, and I got extremely lucky. Pulled a forest, as you can see there. Super shiny. Probably going to hold on to it. I don't know, might trade it to a friend of mine. But another thing about the set that I was really underestimating going into this was the foil tokens. Now, it's not just the special foil tokens that you get from the set specifically, and the tokens that synergize, like the Brainiacs, the Squirrels, those different ridiculous creatures, but you also have foil token opportunities for a ton of different creatures throughout Magic's history. So, for example, I also got some spirits, I also got 2/2 vampire token, also got a Thopter token. I mean, these are all tokens from other specific sets, and they're all awesome because they're foil. We don't usually have these foil options. A lot of the tokens that you would see in foil are usually promo cards, a little bit more difficult to get, especially with the F&O promos now going to be tokens. I think it's cool that we have this option to get the foil tokens from this set specifically. And definitely when you talk about the incentive to open up this set, it's definitely not going to be there when it comes to just playing outside of draft and limited as a whole. So getting a foil token, getting some value out of those, as well as getting value out of the foil mythics and other cool stuff. Like if you got a foil Urza Planeswalker, I'm pretty sure that's probably going to hold some value. But now here comes the part where we have to anticipate, well, what happens after this? What do we do with these cards? And the Commander ban list is going to be updated again mid-January, where they're probably also going to announce that they're ending the whole unset inclusion in Commander. So what are you going to do with these cards after you're done limited? Well, something that I like to do is play cube. And I construct a cube primarily with pauper cards. If you don't know what pauper is, it's where you use all common cards, and if a card has ever been printed as a common, you can use it in pauper, but you're not restricted to the rules of pauper when you play cube, because cube is pretty much whatever you want to put into it. There's a lot of good commons from this set. Don't just restrict it to a pauper idea, but you can use any idea for your cube, and you can throw any card in there that you want. You can throw proxies in there. It's your cube. There's no rules for cube. So long as the people you're playing it with enjoy it and you want to keep doing it, why the heck not? You have the Earl of Squirrel. That's hilarious. Throw that into the cube. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. But anyway, guys, that's just some food for thought. Let me know your experience with Unstable. What was your favorite part about it? What was your favorite cards that you pulled? Did anybody happen to pull any of the nice foil full art lands? Can't wait to hear what you guys say. Anyway, you all have a wonderful day. Void here signing off.